Hello there everyone, your fluffy armchair Admiral Latur is back with some more hot ship action. In today's episode of Lots of Guns, we are going to feature a warship that basically revolutionized the whole naval warfare of 20th century. It was revolutionary design in many different aspects, and it basically created its own like ship class. Behold the almighty HMS Dreadnought. Yes, it was basically a first dreadnought that was ever built. It was also a first dreadnought or battleship that had basically uniform main armament, which were 12-inch guns. Until that time, basically every single pre-dreadnought had like mix up of different caliber guns and sizes. They were pretty much spread out all over the ship. Right now, that has changed. HMS Dreadnought was the first one to be built with only 12-inch guns as the main armament, and complementary like secondary armament spread all over the ship, or in this case on basically the superstructure of HMS Dreadnought. And because originally she was built with, I think, 27 3-inch guns. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to squeeze that many onto that build. That's one of the gimmicks of playing this game. In order to squeeze in the remaining 7 guns that I'm missing, I would have to place them in places that would obstruct main armament from firing at certain arcs. So as I didn't want it to do that, I just squeezed in 20 3-inch guns. But that's the only difference, and eventually HMS Dreadnought was reduced throughout one of the refits to 20 3-inch guns anyway, because those extra 7 guns were proven to be completely outpositioned, and it was pretty much one of the failures of the initial HMS Dreadnought design. But we will eventually get into that later throughout the video. So, continuing about build of HMS Dreadnought, she displaced between 18 and 20,000 tons, and that's basically where we are with our design. So I'm really happy that basically we are pretty much on the spot with design of HMS Dreadnought. Basically, I believe that developers took a lot of time to actually design, research that ship, and they've created one of the hulls and put enough equipment of certain sizes to actually match with HMS Dreadnought. Because that's honestly that's one of the best like historical recreation that I can build in this game. And I'm actually surprised that nobody covered it so far, or at least I haven't seen a video of anyone doing so. So I might be the first one, I might not. There might be some smaller YouTubers that did that. If they did, I do apologize for that, and I'm really happy to see that video anyway. Right. Going next, she was designed with like 21 to achieve 21 knots of speed. It was one of the fastest battleship, or basically dreadnought, at that time, which was another like special feature of this design. It was meant to be fast, it was meant to be strong, it was meant to be revolutionary, and it was. It was basically revolutionary in so many ways. That's, well, I won't be surprised if I will forget to mention about something. Okay, Right. So she was also the first ever like battleship or dreadnought to use steam turbines. So far, every single like British design or pre-dreadnought used triple expansion engines or steam engines, and obviously, well, dreadnoughts was fitted with steam turbines. She was still fired with coal, or she was still using boilers that were coal fired, as far as I know. So that hasn't changed yet. It was basically 1907 when she was commissioned, so it was too early for semi-oil. It was too early for oil, but well, eventually naval warfare started. Well, naval ships started to use oil and semi-oil. I'm not sure about boilers where they were placed. I gave her induced, but she's gonna do fine with natural ones as well. It basically doesn't affect engine efficiency that much, except maybe the fact when one of the funnels gets damaged, then induced boilers will make a difference, because obviously even with one of those funnels taken out, technically it shouldn't affect engine efficiency. Right. HMS Dreadnought used some auxiliary engines to produce power. So I gave her like auxiliary engine 1, which is the most I can go for anyway. So that is just to explain why I took this piece of equipment. In terms of armor, she was armored with Krupp cemented armor. Can't remember which manufacturer produced armor plates for HMS Dreadnought, but it doesn't matter. It was still Krupp cemented armor. So I gave her that. Didn't went further to like go for Krupp armor 3 or something. It would basically be a little bit of overkill. So Krupp cemented is going to be the armor of the choice, and it used to be historically anyway. When it comes to barbette thickness, initially they were pretty thin, to be fair. They were like 8-inch thick, something like that, and that was just right underneath the turret. The deeper it was, the thinner the barbette was. I think the thinnest part was like 4-inch, if I remember the armor layout correctly. So it wasn't particularly strong. It was strong enough to give some protection, and obviously HMS Dreadnought also had armored citadel, which helped a lot, because enemy shell had to go through armored citadel first to reach the barbette anyway. So it wasn't that huge of a problem. So unless you were penetrated by heavy like 12-inch shell from enemy, then there was not much to be worried about. Well, still British ships of like early 20th century, as we all know, had some issues with exploding magazines. So we need to give credit that most likely HMS Dreadnought would have suffered from an internal explosion if she would have been hit. However, historically she never took part in Battle of Jutland, so I can't tell for sure if HMS Dreadnought would eventually be sunk during that battle or not. She was undergoing to refit at the time of Battle of Jutland, so I really can't comment on what would have happened. We can see in the game how this design will perform. That's it. Right, in terms of torpedo protection, initially HMS Dreadnought was equipped with like a torpedo nets, which were the most basic or the most standard torpedo protection at that time. Bear in mind that when she was commissioned, basically like torpedo armament was in early stages of design. That was pre World War One, and as we all know, like torpedo armament have proven its strengths and weaknesses only during First World War, when Germans were extensively using submarines. So that also leads to anti-flood protection. I gave HMS Dreadnought anti-flood 2, which is basically water pumping ability, but I'm tempted to reduce that to anti-flood 1, just for the sake of realism. At the time when she was commissioned, there was no actual proven records of torpedo hits, and basically, apart from testing on like a testing grounds, or by trying to torpedo like a test ships or target practice ships, nobody ever tried to fight in real combat with torpedoes when Dreadnought was actually commissioned. I'm not sure about previous battles which had a huge influence on actual Dreadnought's design, because the main purpose of designing Dreadnought was battles that were held between Japan and Russia in Russo-Japanese War, and battles that occurred on Japanese Sea. But as far as I know, torpedoes weren't that extensively used during that combat, so I'm not sure about which torpedo protection to give to HMS Dreadnought, so I gave her 2. Let it be. It might be a bit overpowered, it might be a bit too weak, but well, we'll see. We'll see about that. And obviously armored citadel, because she was equipped with some sort of armored citadel, and basically the most crucial areas around, like engine rooms, boiler rooms, and this kind of stuff, they were extra protected by some sort of early versions of citadel. When it comes to shells, I gave her standard shells. We can go with heavy shells if we want to increase like penetration and stuff. We might actually go for it, because let's go for heavy shells, mostly because we want to compensate for wrong propellants that we are using. At that time, British Navy was already using cordite. It did reduce penetration by 10%. However, we are using lyddite that reduces penetration by 20%. Because that's the best we could go for. So to compensate for that missing 10%, I'm gonna give heavy shells to HMS Dreadnought. Normally I would use standard shells with cordite, and that should pretty much give me similar values of penetration. Right, I'm not going to increase the amount of ammunition that I store in magazines, both for torpedoes and gun armament. I'm not going to install any sort of turret traverse and reload mechanisms. When it comes to torpedoes, HMS Dreadnought was in fact equipped with underwater torpedo launchers. They were 18-inch, and there was 5 of them initially. I managed to install only 4, because that's how many mounts I got for torpedo launchers. Right, HMS Dreadnought was also the first warship ever fitted with rangefinder. And yeah, that, as I said, it was revolutionary design. So I gave this warship like a rangefinder. I was just struggling to choose between coincidence and stereoscopic rangefinder. What's the difference in the game? Well, coincidence is designed for a short range engagement. It just gives improvement to gun accuracy like flat out by basic statistics, while stereoscopic rangefinder is improving like a long range accuracy of like high caliber guns. So in order to give HMS Dreadnoughts that we are building some benefits, some actual benefits that she can use in actual combat in the game, I equipped her with long range rangefinder instead of short range rangefinder, if that makes sense. When it comes to armor layout, the main armor belt was 11-inch thick. Obviously, it was crab cemented armor. It gone down on 4 ends to as low as 6-inch. On the back end, I think it was as low as 4-inch. But as this wasn't uniformed, I just gave her 6-inch to just improve that armor protection slightly. The ship was definitely designed to go head on towards enemy instead of run, so obviously when you are running you will have a slightly thinner belt protection. Deck was pretty thin. Nobody at that time considered like a plunging fire a thing, so like a 3-inch deck was more than sufficient, and it was pretty much central part of the ship. Closer to fore and aft end of the ship, it's gone down to 0.75 inch. As I said, nobody considered like a plunging fire a thing at that time, because rangefinders were not good enough to actually have long range encounters at like 15-16 kilometers, where shells can actually get into proper heights to go with a plunging fire at all. Right. When it comes to conning tower and turrets, they were both protected by roughly around 11-inch armor. Turret tops were protected by only 3-inch armor. Again, nobody like considered plunging fire a thing at that time. It was still like early stages. It was too early for actual dreadnoughts to prove their worth. So designs were reflecting those like bad assumptions, I guess. When it comes to secondaries and casemate guns, I'm not sure what was the armor thickness of those, so I left it at 6-inch as the game rolled initially. So I do apologize if that's a bit too thick. So that's basically it. When it comes to main armaments, as you can see, the ship was equipped with 10 12-inch guns, mounted in 5 turrets. At the very same time, each broadside could be covered by only 8 of those guns, because 2 of those mounts were mounted on sides of the ship. And that's basically it. There's not much else to say about this build, and well, without any further ado, I believe that instead of wasting any more time to talk about the build, let's just get into the battle, shall we? Okay, so as the mission loads, I would like to remind you that if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It really helps it grow. It really helps me like go forward with my channel, while at the same time, it doesn't cost you anything, so just hit that subscribe button, will you? Right, and obviously if you want to get informed about my new uploads, if you want to get informed about my new videos, content, and comments, just hit that bell button and set it for all notifications. You won't miss anything out that way. Don't forget to share your comments down below the video as well. Right, so the mission has loaded. We are facing against Russian Empire and their 2 pre-Dreadnought battleships, 2 heavy cruisers and 2 light cruisers. That is a formidable enemy for our HMS Dreadnoughts, which is, well, a modern version of a battleship. So let's give her a shot. So we have spotted enemy to the north. I need to reduce speed to 16. I will put on some time compression. We should very soon find the enemy. So, speaking about some history of HMS Dreadnought, as we are trying to engage with the enemy. She was obviously commissioned in 1907, and she became a flagship of Royal Navy. She remained on that function up until I think it was 1910, 1911. So pretty much 3-4 years of solid being like a main ship of Royal Navy. Obviously at that time she didn't saw any actual battle because Great Britain was not at war, and it was not until like First World War, which started in 1914, that she took part in any sort of combat operations. By that time, by the time of First World War, she was no longer like a Royal Navy's flagship. She got replaced by more modern designs and battleships. She was, however, flagship for her own battle group. I can't remember which one was that. And it didn't last long, to be fair. She got quickly replaced by another modern design that joined her squadron. So eventually HMS Dreadnought was just reduced to one of the ships of that squadron. Sadly, throughout entire First World War, she didn't saw too much action. In 1915, during one of the small battles, or like one of her patrols, she eventually spotted a submarine, which was U-29, if I remember correctly. That's actually submerged right in front of HMS Dreadnoughts after firing torpedo at a different battleship in that formation. So what captain of HMS Dreadnought decided to do is to just ram that submarine, and thanks to that successful ram, HMS Dreadnought became the only battleship that ever sunk a submarine on purpose. And that's basically it if it comes to HMS Dreadnought's history, because shortly after that ramming operation, shortly after she sunk that submarine, she was put into port for some sort of refit. So in 1916, when Battle of Jutland took place, she was still at dry dock, undergoing some refits and modifications. So she didn't saw any action. After the refit was complete, she basically didn't show any action until like 1918. Uh, well, even then she didn't show any action, to be fair, because 1918 was basically the end of the war, and after Battle of Jutland there was no major naval battle um, between England and Germany, or any other nation that took part in First World War. So eventually, after First World War, HMS Dreadnought, that was already pretty old design. It was basically 11 years old battleship. She was decommissioned, and eventually 2 years after she was decommissioned, she got sold for scrap. So, ironically, a design that was so revolutionary that created her own class of warships that was like designed to fight other battleships. She actually never fought one. uh, and the only thing that she managed to do is to sink that poor submarine. So anyway, let's get back to the game, shall we? I will put some time compression so that we won't be watching 20 minutes of trying to hit anything tournament, because well, that's how those designs work in the game. Unfortunately, they are not super accurate. We are scoring some good hits on enemy battleship that we are still trying to identify. And we might have a good chance to actually sink her really soon. Right. So far, HMS Dreadnought has proven to be pretty good against enemy warships. Yeah. We basically just identified enemy ship. So F Staffy, as you can see, is already in pretty bad shape, even before enemy managed to score first significant hits on us, which is very good. HMS Dreadnought has proven to be pretty good design, and we got very good accuracy, to be honest. We got like 23% chance to actually hit the enemy, which I'm very proud of. It still doesn't change the fact that we are facing against quite formidable enemy force, and that's just one single dreadnought. So we might actually have to pull back, and that's what I'm going to do. I will just kite a little bit and start running away, mostly because I don't want to expose my warship to any bigger volume of fire. That is getting already more and more dense. So to prevent any further damage, I will just angle away. Oh. I really don't like to see that. Yeah, I'm getting more and more damaged. My structure points have been reduced to 66%. Enemy scored a good hit that caused flooding, which is not something that I'm happy about. And it definitely doesn't help me a lot. My speed has been reduced to 12 knots due to damaged engine. And it doesn't look really good, to be honest. My captain decided to switch his target to one of heavy cruisers, which I actually approve with. so I'll let him do that, as I will keep kiting away. I'll try to like keep myself at medium range from the enemy and try to like take out some of those cruisers before I will go back to fighting with actual battleships. If I can reduce the volume of fire, that will help me a lot, because right now it's really bad. Yeah, quite significant part of my ship is on fire. Enemy is scoring more and more hits, and the volume of fire is becoming a bit overwhelming. So I'm just hoping that none of these enemy battleships will actually score any significant hits, and that I can take out those heavy cruisers. If I can do that, that will help me to reduce the volume of fire. Okay, it looks good so far, even though it's not perfect, and that heavy cruiser seems to be pretty hard to sink, even for 12-inch guns. I've been struck with another heavy shell that caused flooding, and I'm really not fan of that. And if those heavy hits won't stop, I might actually sink because of lack of floatability. I probably should have taken some. Oh, one of the main guns has been destroyed. Seriously. That's no good. That is really not good. It appears that HMS Dreadnoughts might actually lose this battle without taking down even a single enemy. Question is, can I still pull it out? No. Keep firing at the same targets right now. Will ya? Come on, Dreadnoughts, you can do this. Right, floatability is at 17%. It doesn't look good. Okay, it's raising. It's 20, 21, 22. Okay, so the water is getting pumped out, which is good. Okay, I'm no longer taking water and I'm pumping it out. So floatability may eventually get back to like reasonable levels, I would say. But it doesn't look good. I'm not going to lie. Okay, my floatability got back to 42%, and hopefully I will be able to pump out all the water, or at least most of it. Okay, I keep hitting that heavy cruiser, but my structure points are getting reduced rapidly by small arms fire, and that is not something I really like. I need to keep like reasonable distance from the enemy, while at the same time I need to keep engaged with such, so I can start sinking something. Will I? Right, I lost sight of the light cruisers, which means that I'm getting too far away. I need to turn around. F Staffy is still stuck in one place because I managed to damage her engine. Oh dear. Oh, one of the funnels has been destroyed. It's not looking really good for me. I'm not going to lie. It really doesn't look good. So if I'm not going to start sinking something, I will be sunk myself. I have to admit that this mission seems to be harder than I expected, especially while using HMS Dreadnoughts, which I expected to do a little bit better. But I might, in fact, yeah, it appears that I might die in this mission, and it really doesn't look good. I am about to lose that. I will be very lucky if I'm gonna pull it out. I'm not gonna lie. I got 38% structure. One of my guns is already taken out. I don't seem to be hitting the enemy anymore. Mostly because my main tower has been destroyed, which is not helping with the accuracy. I have to admit that. Yeah, my gun accuracy went down to like 10%, or actually 9%. So it's definitely not helping, and I'm facing against heavy cruiser that has 11-inch guns. I'm not kidding. This heavy cruiser has pretty much the same guns as I do. It's just one caliber less. Oh dear, oh dear. Right. I don't see a lot of chances to actually win this battle. There's still some chance, but it's very, very slim. Oh dear. All those cruisers will just eat me alive. Wow. I would never expect HMS Dreadnought to actually do so bad in this mission. I was actually hoping for at least 1-2 kills, like, okay, heavy fighting. I know that, oh, okay, funnels destroyed, fire broke up, but no more flooding, which is good. Okay, I scored a flooding hit on Święta Ekaterina, and maybe I'll be able to sink her at least. That would be at least like a good outcome of this battle. Come on, I need one more good hit on Święta Ekaterina to actually take her down. Oof. Okay, fire, flooding. Come on, you're going down. There we go. Okay, Archangel Mikhail. You're next. Show me what you got. I got 24% structure, that's more than enough. Come on, I can take you all. Come on, guys. Come at me, all of you. I can still do it. Wow. Oh, okay, another flooding. Archangel Mikhail seems to be really formidable enemy. Come on. Yeah, that doesn't look good, in fact. 31% floatability, 19% structure. That's really terribly bad. Come on, any chance that I can actually hit him? 8%. Yeah, it doesn't look good. It really looks bad. If he's going to score one more flooding on me, then I'm dead. I think I've started to pump out the water again. Yeah, I did. So unless this cruiser scores another flooding hit on me, I should be alright with floatability. I might be able to pump out all that water. But that still doesn't change the fact that I'm at 15% structure and it doesn't really look good. I'm trying to be optimistic here, but it's really bad. My engines are disabled, so I can't even run away. I need to carry on fighting, okay? Another flooding, which is definitely not helping. And I can't hit enemy to actually cause significant damage. Oh, and Captain of Dreadnought decided, okay, let's switch targets. And there goes Torpedo. Yes. Okay, full stop. Can I make it? I should be able to make it. Yeah. I made it, but stopping in front of like a bunch of enemy is not a good idea, especially when you have 5% structure. Wow, I scored a hit. I destroyed main gun. I caused flooding, so that's definitely helping. But well, I'm not gonna lie, 5% structure. If a miracle won't happen, I will most likely die. That's basically the point where any reasonable captain would say, okay, you know what, abandon the ship. We are going down. We are really going down. But that was really good battle anyway. Maybe not in terms of like we did great, because we didn't. We did awfully bad. But wait, is that... Oh no, I just detected that light cruiser. Oh, there's another torpedo coming in, and I got no way to avoid that. This one is definitely going to hit. So I am officially going down. That torpedo is going to put me out of the battle. Yep. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So that's basically how HMS Dreadnought did in this battle. I can eventually retry, but that will make this video very, very long, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm not going to do that. I will just thank you for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you want to get informed about my new uploads, hit that notification bell button, and don't forget to share your comments down below. Have a great day and see you all later. Later. Out.